if you're visiting Japan and you're planning a trip to the Pokémon Center, it can be pretty confusing. There's a lot of questions that can come up, and so I wanted to make this quick video to show you a walkthrough of the Pokémon Center in Shibuya, the Pokémon Center Osaka, and also tell you if it's worth visiting. Let's get started. Each of the 16 Pokémon Centers in Japan have a unique design, and it changes over time. Most tourists end up visiting Tokyo, Kyoto, or Osaka, so this video is going to be a focus on that. Did you know that Tokyo alone has 6 different Pokémon Centers? Out of all these options, only one Pokémon Center in Tokyo has a sit-down Pokémon Cafe, and that's the Pokémon Center Tokyo DX. So if that's a must-have for your vacation, make sure you make reservations ahead of time. Reservations open a month in advance and they're notoriously difficult to get. This Pokémon Center is a 5-minute walk from the JR Tokyo Station Yaesu North exit, or a 4-minute walk from the Nihonbashi Station exit B2. You can take the Tokyo Metro Ginza, Tozai line, or the Toei Asakusa line. The next one on the list is great if you're not afraid of heights, and you want to see possibly the coolest Rayquaza statue. Head to the Pokémon Center at Tokyo Skytree. This is a great place to snag some Skytree specific merch, and don't forget to make your way up to the top of the tower. It has some absolutely unforgettable views, and there's plenty of shopping in this area as well. If you're a Studio Ghibli fan, you can say hi to Totoro on your way up. The shopping plaza is adjacent to the Tokyo Skytree Station. You can get there on the Tobu Skytree line, the Tokyo Metro Hanzomon line, the Keisei Oshiagi line, and the Toei Asakusa line. Next on the list is the Pokémon Center Mega Tokyo and Pikachu Suites by Pokémon Cafe. It's another great option located in Ikebukuro, Sunshine City. Don't be confused by the name though, the cafe here only serves drinks and seasonal meals for takeout only. A lot of people say this is the largest Pokémon Center in Tokyo, hence the Mega, and it's about a 3-minute walk from the Higashi Ikebukuro Station on the Tokyo Metro Yurakucho line. It's also an 8-minute walk from the Ikebukuro Station on the JR Tokyo Metro, Seibu, and Tobu lines. Alternatively, you could take a 4-minute walk from the Higashi Ikebukuro Yonchome Station on the Toden Arakawa line. The next one on the list isn't technically a Pokémon Center, but it is a Pokémon store. Don't be fooled by other videos, the store is much smaller in person than you'd expect. In fact, most of the shops inside Tokyo Station are very small. This one doesn't hold events like the other Pokémon Centers, but if you know you'll be in Tokyo Station and you don't expect to make it to the other locations, this is a great option to get some cool souvenirs. Just take the train to Tokyo Station and find it outside the ticket gate at the JR Tokyo Station Yaesu Underground Central exit. The Pokémon Center in Tokyo Bay is marked by this giant Pikachu with a surfboard out front. It's a great option, it's very spacious, there's plenty of things to buy and choose from. It's located in a shopping mall, so there's also a lot of other retail stores to visit afterwards, including a Toys R Us. It's a pretty short walk from the Minami Funabashi Station. And last, but certainly not least, I'm going to be doing a walkthrough of the Pokémon Center in Shibuya. So if this isn't something you're interested in, you're not visiting Tokyo, feel free to skip ahead. The appeal of this particular location is plain to see. It's insanely cool. If you're a Pokemon fan, and especially a fan of Mewtwo, this is gonna blow your mind. It's gonna be hard to get a photo next to it, I'm not going to lie, and that's because this is one of the busier locations. You're gonna find yourself packed like a sardine if you come on a day when a lot of tourists are around, and you're definitely gonna be waiting a long time when you're in line for checkout. However, on the same floor, you'll find a Nintendo store and a Capcom store, so it's definitely worth a visit if you're into nerd culture. And it's also located so close to Shibuya Crossing that I would say that this is something that is easy to convince family members to visit. If they're going to be in the area for shopping, you might as well take a look at the Pokémon Center. This is also, from what I've been told, one of the only Pokémon Centers that tends to have higher quality merchandise. As you see here, I'm filming wedding rings, can be pretty pricey, but I have heard that for women's fashion and for, clothing and things like that, the Shibuya location has much better offering, whereas some of the other locations might be more pandering towards a younger audience. This one, they know a lot of tourists are coming through. They know a lot of adults are coming in, adults that are a fan of Pokemon and have a lot of money to spend. So they tend to have a lot of really cool stuff that you might not find in the other stores. That being said, that doesn't mean that there aren't options for children. There's plenty of stuff like plushies and stickers and stationery items like washi tape that are small items you can pick up and can easily appease a child with. At the time of recording, the US dollar to yen was very favorable for the US. So I was able to pick up a bunch of stuff that if I was buying it from home, it would be insanely expensive. You can see the prices in the background. I mean, I think the cheapest thing that you'll find will be like folders or notebooks. You might be able to get some of those for about 300, 400, maybe even 200 yen. But that being said, obviously you're not going here for budget items. The Pokemon Center isn't really known for keeping the prices low. I actually found that the stationery section was refreshingly large. That's something that you don't really see so much in the US, is entire sections dedicated to pens and pencils and notebooks. But both of the Pokemon centers I visited were really stocked with some amazing items at decent prices. So definitely if you're a fan of, journaling or otherwise, it's a great place to go, and it's a great place to take your kids. Especially if you have really tiny kids, I think I would have a hard time not spending if I had a baby. I mean, look at some of this baby stuff. It's insanely cute. And yeah, I don't have a kid, but maybe one day. At the time of my filming this, they had all the Easter stuff still out, which was really cool to see. I personally picked up the bento box and the lechonk because it was just too cute to ignore, but plenty of kitchen stuff, plenty of plushies. And oh my god, I would have spent so much more. I was glad that I was able to contain myself. They also had this really cool display. It's at the front of the store, but if you're here, you're waiting in line. Basically, when you press the button, it'll play a song from the Gen 1 games. So here's a little bit of that.
I'm canceling yours.
As you can see, though, there are a lot of people in line, so if somebody on the other side decides that they want to play a song, that'll end your song. So it's constantly just changing songs because obviously we're all sitting in line, we're all bored. But it's a good little distraction for the beginning of the line. You're not going to find that kind of a distraction further in the line, and the line just keeps going. The checkout process on a whole was relatively easy. Of course, though, there is a bit of a language barrier depending on who you get. Not all of the employees speak English, but they're all going to be able to check you out. Even if you don't speak any Japanese, they're probably going to ask you if you want a bag. You know, the kinds of questions that you're going to get at the convenience store or any other place that you visit in Japan. So hopefully by the time you visit the Pokemon Center, you'll know to just nod and point, because there is a possibility that you might not get someone who speaks English, but no worries, they're used to dealing with ignorant gaijin. So in terms of payment, I recommend bringing 2 forms of payment just in case. When we went, they were accepting card, but obviously not all international cards are made the same. So I would recommend bringing American Express or Visa that has been registered, for international travel, because my Visa wasn't working. It's registered in the US, it's not an international card, but my friend's Visa was working. So obviously they're not going to accept every card. Always have a backup plan in the form of cash, not US dollars, not whatever currency you're visiting from, but, bring Japanese yen and be prepared to spend a lot because, oh my god, you are going to want to. I actually came to the store 2 separate times. The first time is when I filmed this. As you can see, it was pretty busy. I wouldn't say it was uncomfortably crowded, like you might bump into someone, but it was crowded enough that people can't use the interactive displays, so they just turn them off. You can see one right here. I think it would be some kind of scenario where you would stand on that and then the screen would react, but obviously there was so many people. This is the line, by the way. There were so many people in line that nobody could use it. So I think they just turned it off. That being said, if you're a Pokemon TCG fan and you wanted to come buy cards, selection's a bit lackluster. That goes for both the Shibuya location and the Osaka location. Actually, in the Osaka location, they had a sign saying that they weren't selling singles in the stores anymore, and I think that is probably because of people fighting over them or stealing. Not really sure exactly the situation, but if you're a big fan of the cards, I would recommend going somewhere else. I mean, obviously, you're going to be able to buy bundles, but I didn't see any ETBs. I didn't see any booster boxes. It's going to be a pretty limited selection than what you're used to. Plenty of accessories, plenty of insanely cute stuff that I would have eaten up all of this if I had the money, but you know, earrings, bows, hair ties, all manner of things. They even had makeup sponges that were insanely cute, so don't be afraid that this is going to trend more towards a masculine audience, because you know, every gender likes Pokemon, so they obviously are catering to the girlies as well. Something I found rather interesting were these phone cases. I mean, I wouldn't spend that money. I wouldn't spend that much on a phone case, but it was really cool to see them. And obviously they have them behind the glass, but as you can see, pretty pricey. Pretty cool though. I'm sure if I had the big bucks, I might consider a case like this, but I don't have the big bucks, so yeah. I didn't see a similar display to this in the Osaka location, so I'm pretty sure that this is something you can only really get in Shibuya. I also haven't seen anything similar on the Pokémon Center. Maybe it's available on the Pokémon Center Japan. Not sure. Let me know in the comments. There are actually quite a few more pricey items that were behind the glass or you had to bring to the counter to purchase, so they also hid some, well, they're pretty obvious, but there are some Easter eggs and signatures hidden around the store if you're into that. Plenty of snacks and figurines, kind of pricey. I did bite the bullet, but some really, really cool stuff that you can take home and souvenirs to give friends and family that are kind of non-traditional stuff that you probably wouldn't buy off of the Pokemon Center. And overall, I would say amazing selection, plenty of stuff for any kind of person in this store. I would definitely recommend visiting. On your way out, it's gacha galore. So many gacha machines, tables for if there's tournaments. They've got a Pokemon game. They've got a coin print, which was out of order. You know, I think they ran out. But plenty of stuff to do and just hang around if you wanted to come for an event. Or if you just wanted to hang out a little bit longer. These machines are so expensive, but they do print out a little cool collectible that you can use in the game if you continue. And again, this is only a 5-minute walk from Shibuya Station. You could take the JR Yamanote line or the Saikyo lines. God, there's a million different lines you could take. Tokyo Toyoko line, Denen Toshi line, Keio Inokashira line, Tokyo Metro Ginza, Hanzomon, and Fukuto Shin lines. Sorry if I butcher that. I do not speak Japanese, but just trying to give you an idea, just trying to help you out. It's definitely worth taking a visit, so if you want to come, please do. So now let's talk about Osaka. There are actually two in Osaka. This is the Daimaru Umeda. They're relatively close to each other. Make sure if you're going, you go through this entrance. It's actually a pretty big mall. You're going to get all turned around, but if you see that fountain, you're headed the right way. So before I talk about the one that I went to, here's a diagram of how far you'd have to walk to go to the one with the Pokémon Cafe. I know they're both located in a Daimaru, and that's super confusing, but just keep in mind if you want to go to the Pokémon Cafe, make reservations ahead of time, and go to the Pokémon Center Osaka DX. You can get there on the Osaka Metro Midosuji line, and you'll get off at Shinsaibashi Station Exit 4. For those of you that don't really care about going to the Pokemon Cafe, I'll be showing you the other Pokemon Center in Osaka, which is not as busy and is in an insanely cool mall. So if you see these, again, you're headed in the right way. It can be a bit confusing, so do be sure that you are on the right side of the mall. You'll be greeted by this insanely cool Koraidon statue. Unless, of course, you're going after a new game has been released, and I bet they'll have some other statue here in their place. But this one had a surprisingly large selection of items, everything ranging from snacks to plushies to stationery, and I mean, look, there's even gum. So if you are going, I would say the selection is pretty similar to Shibuya, except there's not so many expensive luxury goods. I didn't see any really pricey rings or phone cases. It seemed to be more mid-market, low market. I'd say it's worth visiting just for the statue alone. I did pick up some things while I was here. That's because they had some Sword and Shield stuff that they didn't have in Shibuya. I'll show it a little bit later on, but these were out of stock in Tokyo. That's a big benefit of coming to the store in Osaka, is that the things that you wanted to buy that you couldn't because they ran out might be available here. That was the case for me. I was able to pick up some plushies that I wasn't able to find in the other store, and I was also able to pick up some Marnie merch, which probably would have sold out right away in Shibuya. I did notice there was quite a lot more in terms of Pikachu. Pikachu was everywhere in the store. It was very cool if you're a Pikachu fan. I especially liked this highlighter.
He's drowning.
Oh look, he comes up. Look, ready? Oop. Well, you can't really see because of the packaging, but there's a little guy in there.
He's drowning. Let him go. Free him. Oh.
It's also right next to the Nintendo store. There's also a billion other stores in this mall. It's an insanely cool mall. We spent multiple days at this mall just because first day we weren't even able to find the Pokémon Center, and we were just overwhelmed with all the options and things that we could purchase that we just kept walking around the mall. And so I imagine you might have a similar experience where you kind of get backtracked and distracted by all the options, and you end up making this a 2-day trip. But that's totally fine. It's a great experience either way. Just be sure, if you are on a tight schedule, that you are entering the mall from the right side, because if your family gets frustrated and wants to go home, that might be it. If it's not already obvious from the footage, this one was way less crowded. You had plenty more room to walk around and see things at your own leisure. I will say that the crowd here tended to be a bit younger than the other Pokemon stores, which meant there were kids running around, knocking things over, picking things up, and they might be scooching past you. But other than that, very, very friendly atmosphere, very open floor plan. Plenty of things to see and buy, and they had more of the options in terms of some of the limited items that were already sold out in Shibuya, like right as soon as they put them out. So if you're trying to get something in particular and you can't find it at any of the other Pokemon centers, this is an amazing backup. For me, this is where I ended up getting my Lechonk. It was sold out at the other store, and I ended up getting it here. And there were plenty of other things I saw that were completely out of stock at the other store. So just keep in mind, because there is no Pokemon Cafe in the store, you'll have more choice over what you end up wanting to buy because there's less competition. As far as checkout, the line was almost non-existent here. It was pretty short. Everything was relatively fast. If you only speak one language and that language is not Japanese, you might run into a language barrier. But again, that's easily solved because the attendants know how to check you out. They're not going to just tell you you have to leave. I don't know why you'd be worried about that, but if you are worried about that, don't worry. They'll be able to get you through the line. Again, not a lot of option in terms of TCG, but a lot of option otherwise. So definitely worth taking a visit For me, it was worth a lot because I ended up being able to get something I really wanted to get, but I couldn't find elsewhere. This store is on the 13th floor, and you can get here by just taking a line to JR Osaka Station. The Daimaru Umeda is actually adjacent to the station, so it's very close, very easy to get there, as long as you don't get turned around and lost. If your hotel is located in Osaka, you might even be able to walk. That's what we did. We just decided to walk. It was a pretty short walk, but obviously I have no idea where your hotel is located. This Pokémon Center does also host events, so of course check the calendar before you come. You might be able to participate in something, and that would be a very unique and cool experience. If your family is not a fan of Pokemon, like I said, this is in an amazing mall with an amazing view of the city, plenty of stores, more stores than you can even visit feasibly. You could go up and down the escalators all day and it would never end. So maybe you suggest that they check out something else while you look at this store. In terms of entertainment options, this place can't be beat. There's pop-up shops, there's restaurants, there's a movie theater. You can go to, it's sort of like a gym, an indoor facility. If you end up on that side, you're on the wrong side of the mall. But, you know, there's bookstores. There's any type of store you can imagine. So I would have your family go check elsewhere. I mentioned this earlier, but the Pokemon TCG products, they weren't selling singles, they weren't selling ETBs, they were selling mats, card sleeves, that sort of thing. Again, if you were a TCG fan, this isn't where you're going to be picking up cards. You're not going to be coming here to pick up a box or pick up some singles. I'd recommend going somewhere else for that. I was able to pick up some cool singles while I was in Akihabara, and there's, you know, a million different places you can pick up secondhand cards or fresh packs. This just isn't it. The stuff I picked up here was pretty expensive, but I'd still recommend visiting this shop if you're a big fan of Pokemon. If you're just kind of a little bit of a fan of Pokemon, this one might not be as cool. I personally would come here just to see the statues and the displays, but I do realize that I am a massive fan of Pokemon and not everyone is a massive fan of Pokemon, so I would say it's not worth going out of your way if you don't love Pokemon, but it is worth going out of your way if you want to pick up a cute souvenir or if you're a mega fan. Like, look at this Marnie phone case. I don't think you could find this anywhere else in the world, and if I had that type of phone, I would have bought it, but I don't. Before the end of this video, I did want to mention that I've curated a list you can follow using the link in my description to find out which Pokémon Center will be the closest to you during your trip. It is using Google Maps, so you can also use it when you actually get to Japan to direct yourself to the location during your visit. This applies to all the Pokemon Centers, not just the one in Tokyo, so if you are visiting an area that is less touristy, this might be helpful for you to just add it to your phone and quickly have directions to where you want to go. Like I said earlier, there are plenty of options and there really is no wrong option. It's just about how you want to go about your vacation and the kinds of people that you're traveling with. So just keep in mind that no matter where you go, you're going to have a good time. Don't try to lose sleep over it. It's still going to be great and you're going to love it. I hope that this video helped, but in the event that you have any leftover questions, feel free to leave a comment. I can answer it, and if I can't answer it, I'm sure there's someone out there that can. So definitely leave a comment. I'll do a little bit of research and get back to you. I have a really small channel, so chances are I'll see it. There are a lot of resources on how to get to the Pokemon Center, how to get to the Pokémon Cafe, so I recommend checking out their direct website. Obviously, a lot of it's going to be in Japanese, but don't forget that I'm not the only YouTuber, not that you did forget that, but if you want to see a more in-depth look at some of these, there are plenty of other YouTubers who have actually gone recently and kind of mapped it out for you. And since we're coming up on the end of this video, I did want to just say thank you for taking the time to watch all the way through. I would ask that you leave a comment or like or subscribe, as that gives this video some algorithmic boost. I don't tend to let it Oh my god, English. I don't tend to get a lot of views on my videos, but I am very passionate about making them and putting them out there, and I'd love to provide more resources like this in the future. I have plenty of other footage from my trip in Japan, so if there's anywhere in particular that you'd like to see a video made, please leave it in the comments below, because I have plenty of footage and would love to give some tips and tricks about how to travel Japan and, general information for tourists. So be sure to do that. Be sure to tell me what you think. Even if it's bad, everything helps to improve the videos in the future. I hope you have an amazing time on your trip, and please, 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 I love seeing what's in stock at the Pokemon Center, so at me on Twitter, I am PsychoSloth, and feel free to reach out. I'd love to hear if this guide helped you. Thank you, bye!